Welcome back, and in this one we will learn how to control Pigments Sequencer. This guide is like a course. At the description or the timeline, you have all the chapters. You can learn about something today, skip a section, and maybe come back a different day to keep learning. If you like what I do, please like the video. This channel is supported by viewers only. If you want to buy me a coffee to say thanks and help the channel keep going on, you can. You have links at the description for PayPal, YouTube Thanks, and Patreon. And okay, so let's talk about the basics. As soon as you turn on the sequencer and you play whatever key, the sequencer will, start going. If you make whatever sequence right here, you lock it right here at the top, you have a lock. You can just lock and change or go to different patches. And the sequence will stay the same because it's locked. And again, this is just a great feature. Listen to different presets with the same sequence. If you want to erase the whole sequence and start over, I'm gonna get out of lock, you can go right here and you will pretty much start from the scratch. Now notice that you can see this icon right here and on each of the different tracks. So if I create something here and I do something maybe here and I change these values, what you can do, you can clear whatever track information that you have right here. Let's say that I want to clear this one at the top, it's gonna clear it. If I want to clear the pitch, I can do so, and the same for the other tracks. In terms of steps, the max you can go is 16 steps, no more. Right here at the end, you have a line. If you want to make it less than 16 steps, you just need to drag the line and maybe make it 4 steps or 6 or 8. But you can go up to 16. If you already have some data or some sequence, well, you can make it less steps without losing the sequence. Let's say I'm going to do something like that, just to give you an example. And if I play something, I get that, but maybe I want to make it 4 steps, and I get it. But then if I want to change it, notice it remembers the data that we had on those steps. Right, so I guess I'm going to go back to default. You can shift these steps forwards or you can shift them backwards. Let's say I have something right here. It's going to be just that. But then I want to move this to maybe a different step. So this will move whatever information that you have on this column. You can move it forwards and it will just shift everything forwards, or you can shift it backwards. Now, it's also possible to adjust each of the tracks independently, and this is called Polymetry. We will talk about this in a minute, but if I click this, notice that the length of each track will change, and we can, individually just change the length of each track. Again, we will talk about this function in a minute. At the top left, you can turn off the sequencer, pretty simple. Then you can change between sequencer and ARP. They're a little bit different, but once you learn the sequencer, you know how to control the ARP. And right here, you can select the presets, you have the playback, and then you have the generation. You have 3 different sections right here. The browser, this one, when you click it, it's going to give you the sequence browser. And this one is really important because you have sequences from factory and just presets. What is the difference between factory and presets? Well, whenever you create a preset on the synthesizer and you create a sequence and you save that patch, the sequence will be associated to that preset. So that will live within the presets. And then you have other sequences that are not part of a preset. Those ones are going to be the factory ones. Still, if you create a sequence, whatever sequence right here, and you save it by clicking this icon, I'm going to save it as XMB. I'm going to say OK. And now the sequence will live within the user presets. Notice I have 2. So this means that whenever you have a preset, a synth preset, not a sequence preset, you can go to the sequence browser and just select whatever sequence that you have on this synthesizer on your computer. And whenever you save that preset, that sequence will be associated to that preset. And this is great because you cannot do this on all synthesizers that have a sequencer. Maybe you can save a sequence that can only be associated to that preset. On this one, you can do whatever you want. Also, within the factory, you have a lot of different presets and different styles with different scales. We'll talk about scales in a minute. But again, you can use this as a template and then just change it and, call it your own. Why not? I'm going to clear and just go back to the beginning. And then we have the playback. The playback defines how the sequence plays back, right? Makes sense. So if I play something, the rate is going to decide how fast it goes. It can go super fast or just super slow. Simple. Now then, we can sync it to whatever tempo we have on your DAW, or you can just go to BPMs and decide the internal clock with this one. I'm gonna go for now to sync and just maybe do 1/16. Then you have the playback mode, and this one will decide if the sequencer plays forwards or plays backwards, or you can do forwards and backwards. Right, I guess you get the idea. And then you have the random, which just means that it's just gonna jump around. Gonna go back to forwards, and the other thing that you get is gonna be the swing. So if you want some swing, you go up and you get it. To control what you can do on each of the steps, you need to handle the tracks, the on and off, probability, pitch, velocity, octave, the length, the gate length, and the slide. So first is the on and off. Right here, I can just play something, and I'm gonna be turning off different steps. And this is like adding a rest to that step. You're just not removing it from the 16-step sequence, you're just adding rest. That's it. And then you have the probability. So you can use 100, which means that this step will always play, but if I make it like 50%, this step has a 50-50 chance that it's gonna play. If I make it less than 50, this one has a 20% chance that it's gonna play, so it's a pretty low chance. And now modern sequencers have this function, it's something very normal. So if you have something right here and you want to clear it, you can just click this and it will clear the track. One thing that you need to know is that if you go all the way down to 0, you're pretty much turning off the track. Right? So because it has a 0% chance that it's gonna play. So on pitch, you decide which pitch each step will play, and you can just draw the different steps just like this, just pretty simple. This is something that you can do on Sequencer. When you go to Arpeggiator, you don't have that option. But we will talk about the ARP in a minute. As you can see, you have the whole chromatic scale right here, from C all the way right here to B. Now the thing is that this is the only thing that you see right here, but you can log to a different scale. And this is the generation, the option is right here, but it's kind of related to this section. But if I go here and maybe select, I don't know, a natural minor, and I just select it, notice that this icon is just kind of going on, it's just turning on. And now all the different notes are locked to a natural minor scale. If I turn this off, I can just maybe do whatever I want right here, and it will not use this natural minor scale. But as soon as I click this button, it's gonna flip or just change all the different pitches to whatever scale that we are using. Notice that it's doing it. And this is something that you need to be aware of, because if you do this, if you enable this and you disable, you cannot go back to whatever you had from before. But behind the scenes, if you just hover on the value, it's going to say generated F and then initial F sharp. This is because this feature belongs to the generation, but you can use it without, just clicking this icon. Again, we will talk about generation in a minute. Another thing that you can do is just hold the shift on your keyboard and then just drag the different, the different values, and it will just shift the whole sequence. And again, if you're locked into a scale, it will just lock you to that scale. But if I do it without locking, it will just freely move the different notes. Now, right now, it's going to play. If I just play a key, it's just going to restart and play from the beginning. Well, right here, if you wanted to, you can do hold. And if I play a key, it's just going to run the sequence. And I'm going to do it with my mouse, not with my keyboard. I'm going to play this pitch. It's going to shift everything to that pitch. And so on and on and on. As soon as you click hold, it's going to disable that hold. One cool thing that you get on each of the tracks, and for now I'm just going to go back to defaults, is the divider. This one is the rate divider. And this one, what will do, it will affect the rate of this track alone. Let me just add something right here randomly, and I'm going to lock this to leading. And I'm going to go to divide 2. And now if I play, this one is going slower. The pitch track is going slower, while everything else is going to use 1/16. So what it's doing right here is playing this step or this note twice. And if I make it slower, you can hear the difference, right? So it's twice on each step. If I do times 4, now it's going to be 4 times, and then it's going to move forward because we are dividing by 4. Kind of makes sense. Like I said before, this is kind of a way to make the sequence kind of last longer. Right now it's super slow, but you know, if I go up, it looks like we have more notes. All right, very cool feature. I'm going to go back to off. The next track is going to be the velocity of a step. And this is pretty simple. And I'm going to do something like that. Notice that nothing is changing. It's because this one is, of course, modulating the velocity. And right now on this patch, I have nothing is listening to the velocity. So I'm going to do amp, which is the final volume of the synthesizer. Notice that some notes are just going to be louder. Some other ones are going to be just super quiet because we are just modulating the amp with the sequence. And that's it. You know, you just choose something right here and it will do it. Now the thing is that there's more to it. Right here you have this one. This one is the velocity mix. Right now it's at 75%. I'm going to go all the way down to 0 and I'm going to play a key. But this is very quiet and it's not doing anything, right? So it's like this one is just not working. This is not doing anything. This track will not modulate the velocity. And this is because I'm using a velocity controller. So if I play soft, it's going to be soft. We can see it right here at the bottom. But if I play hard, it's going to be harder, right? But this is not modifying the amp. And also we can see it right here. If I play soft, if I play hard, it's affecting the velocity. This is because it's at 0%. So this one, it's not canceling whatever I do with my MIDI controller. If I go all the way up to 100%, it doesn't matter what I do with my MIDI controller. This track will take over, and now notice what happens right here. We can see the velocity coming out from these tracks. So it doesn't matter if I play soft or I play hard, this track is taking over because it's 100%. Now the thing is that what if you want to control the velocity with this track, but you also want to control it a little bit with your MIDI controller? Well, then you go into the in-betweens. Maybe I can do 50%, and if I play soft, this will still, you know, affect the velocity, but also if I play hard, it will influence the velocity of the patch. Right? So soft, if I play hard, soft, and then hard. And this is, again, completely up to you. If you don't want for your controller to affect the velocity, just go all the way to 100%. I'm gonna go back to a default sequence, and then coming up next, it's the octave. So you can go up to 2 octaves up, you can go up to 2 octaves down. Simple as that. Right, so then you have your gate length. And this is the length of each of the steps. By default, it's going to be on 80%. But if I make it super low, I'm going to go all the way to 5%, which is the minimum you can do. All the steps are going to be super short. Now I can go to almost 100. Or maybe I'm going to go back to defaults. Now notice that right here, you can go up to 400. Right? It's kind of weird. You can go to 400%. If I play something, it doesn't sound any different. And this is, of course, the gate length is kind of related to what's happening on the envelope amp. If there's no sustain, you know, it's just gonna sound a little bit different. If I go to defaults, notice that it's a little bit longer. I can go again, down, it's gonna be super short. Now, if I go up to 400%, what is it? It sounds a little bit, you know, a little bit different. It's like this one, it's longer, and it's because if this step is 400, it will last 4 steps. So I'm gonna maybe go to the other keys, and again, I'm locking to Lydian. I want you to hear how it sounds. So this note or step lasts 4 steps. If I make it slower, you can really hear it. Stops right here. I'm gonna start again. So yeah, that's what you can do. Maybe I want on each beat, I want to start with a long C. I'm gonna be going here, going up, and then going up. And if I play it, sustains, 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 and then sustains. Cool, right? Now remember that you can go up to 400. You can do less. If I do, I don't know, something like 221, it's going to be a little bit more than 2 steps. I'm going to go back to a default preset and I'm going to maybe go to 1/16. I'm just going to draw whatever here. It doesn't matter. So we have the slide, and the slide all the way down. It means that on each of the steps, we'll play whatever note that we have right here. But if I add a little bit of slide, when we go here, it's just going to slide from the current pitch to whatever other pitch that we have on the next step. Right? And this is a very common feature that we get on almost all sequencers. I'm going to go back to a default preset and notice that each track can generate its own random value. For example, I'm locked to Lydian, so I can click this and it will just give me random values. And if I go here, notice that it is still giving me the generated and the initial one. So we can do this for all of the different, the different tracks. If I play something, it will again generate a random track. And for now, I'm just going to go down and sustain. That's cool. Now there's more to this. Right here on each of the dices, you can see a percentage. So this is how aggressive the randomization is. If I have something close to all C's, I'm going to go down on the randomization and maybe I'm going to do 10%. So when I just click it, it's going to do just a tiny little bit. Notice it's not randomizing a lot. If I go really aggressive, it's just going to be really aggressive. I guess you get the point. I'm going to go to 0, it's like just not doing anything. I'm going to do just a tiny little bit. And same thing right here. Once you click it, it's going to randomize the values. I'm going to go back to a default sequence, and at the top you have some locks. So this means that if I maybe lock the first one, second one, third one, and the fourth one, and I generate something, notice that these ones are not moving, right? So yeah, that's what it means. You're locking these 4 columns. So whenever you generate something random, it will happen to the other ones that are not locked, not, to the locked ones. I think that this feature works a little bit better when we work with the generation because we can accept the changes or reject the changes. But we're going to talk about this in a minute. I want to show you the polymetry first. Okay, so polymetry, this one is really cool. What this means is that you can offset the length of each of the tracks. And this is something that you're getting on all the sequencers nowadays, hardware or maybe software sequencers. And it's because you can get different rhythms, different variations. And it's really cool. First, you need to enable this. And maybe I'm just going to lock into a scale and just going to generate some different values. Open the filter a little bit more. There we go. So now I can go to polymetry and maybe I'm going to just change the octave, maybe length, and maybe a little bit slide. Notice that all the different tracks have a different length. And of course, we can just click and drag and click and drag and so on and on and on. And there we go. That's pretty much it. The different tracks will be playing at a different length. Now then you have something right here that calls reset. So when you work with polymetry, or sometimes this is called polyrhythms, something like that, every time I play, and this is off, needs to be off, when I play this, it doesn't matter that all the tracks have different length. They will all start from the step number 1. I'm going to start now. And at some point, they will be offsetted and they will never meet again on step number 1. It will never start from the beginning unless I release my key and play again. So I need to release and play again, so all of them can start always from step number 1. And this is why the reset is off. You can just click it and decide when the whole sequence will restart and start from the step number 1 again. If I do maybe 1 bar, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 again. So after 1 bar, they will always start from the step number 1. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now, of course, you can use different values, and as it says realign right here. So instead of 1 bar, you can make it 2 bars, and you just need to count to 8, and it will go back to step number 1. Okay, so back to a default sequence, and now we need to talk about the generation. As we know, we can generate random values per track. The regeneration is the same idea, but it's going to be for all the tracks at once. The only thing that you need to do is just click the big dice. Now, first, I'm going to do something like that. I'm going to just, maybe adjust the sequence, just do something random. It doesn't matter. And then I'm going to just click this icon, and this will just generate a random, sequence for me. I'm going to just lock it to a sequence so it can be a little bit more musical. Now, every time that you click the dice, it will generate the random, but it doesn't mean that it's going to forget whatever is that you had from before. That is, it says initial F and generated G. And this is why you have the X and then you have the check mark. Once you generate something, if you don't like it, I'm going to click the X and it's going to dispose that and it's going to go back to whatever I had from before. Now, if I still generate something and I like it, and say I want to keep it, then you click the check mark and this will apply whatever random we did, and you cannot go back. I'm going to do so, and notice that now we have no information at the back, so you cannot go back to whatever we had from before. So you need to be careful, with this feature. I'm going to go back to default, just going to erase everything. And this regen takes the small dices into account to generate its random. If this one is all the way down and I generate something, notice that it's just affecting all the tracks, but not the pitch one. So the intensity, it's a per track type of thing. If it's too aggressive, you just need to go to the small dices and then regenerate something. Maybe I'm going to do a little bit on the pitch and then just generate something. And it will just, do it. If I go really aggressive on the pitch, it's going to do something, a lot more aggressive. And that's pretty much it. Now, remember that all of this is just listening to the scale and, of course, to the snap to scale. We will talk about scales in the next section. But before we go to the next section, at the bottom, you can see something that says auto regen. And if I click it, it's going to tell you when. So if I choose 1 bar and I play something, it means that after 1 bar, it will just generate a new random sequence for me. That's it. If I maybe go to 2 bars, it's just the same idea. 2 bars, because I'm using 1/16, and it will generate something for me. If I do something super quick, it's going to be changing the whole time. Cool. Right, so I'm going to go back to default, which is off. And I guess now we need to talk about the scales. Let's talk about the different scales. If you click here, you have the classic scales, chromatic, minor, major, Lydian, all the different classic scales. And then you have other scales that Arturia gives you. Every time you wish to use a scale, you just click it. Once it's selected, you can, of course, get it when you go to random, or you can just click the generation or generate or regen button, and it will use that, high minor, or maybe I can go to, Mixolydian, and it's going to give me Mixolydian. It's just, again, simple as that. You go here, you select the scale, and you get it. Whenever you use a scale, it doesn't mean that you have to use all the notes on that scale. Let's say I want to maybe just use some of the notes on that scale. I'm going to remove notes, and notice that it's adjusting this real time. It's only playing 3 different notes, C, E, and G. So yeah, now once you do this, you modify the scale after you select something like that. Notice that it will go to a custom scale. So now I'm kind of creating a custom scale. In this case, it's just going to be a single note, or maybe 2 or 3, 4 notes. It's completely up to you. Let's say I'm going to be doing all the white keys, which is pretty much a C major, but that's fine. And I'm going to go here, going to click it. And every time I do so, it's going to be all white keys. Maybe I'm going to go a little bit more aggressively on the pitch. Again, all white keys. So yeah, that's useful. I'm going to go back to a default preset. And now if I go to scale, notice that at the bottom, you have sliders. And each slider represents a note. So when you select a scale, of course, the first one, which is the root note, is a very high. And this is the probability or chance. So whenever you click the regen, you will just use those notes or pitches that belong to that scale. And of course, the root has more chances of being used on that scale. But still, you can maybe go to a custom, select, I don't know, maybe just 4 different notes, and then select the chance or probability for those notes. So let's say that the first one is going to be very high and the rest ones are going to be low. So when you generate just a sequence, it's going to use those params to give you something, random. Let's talk about the ARP. And once you understand the sequencer and all the different parts, the ARP is just very simple. When you are on ARP, you lose a couple of functions that you get on the sequencer. For example, you don't have scales. And of course, since you don't have scales, you don't have the pitch track. Why? Well, because you are the one playing the notes that should be played. That's how an ARP works. Now, I'm gonna be holding this, and right here at the top, you have different ARP modes. It's gonna be the as played, which means that everything that you play is gonna remember the order, and it's gonna just play that. And they are just very common ARP modes. You have the up, which is gonna be up. You have the down, it's gonna play down. It's gonna be the up and down inclusive. It's gonna repeat. And the exclusive, of course, or excluding. And then you have the random. Cool, just, very just normal ARP. I'm gonna turn off the hold, and the playback that we have right here, again, stays the same. If I go faster, it's gonna be faster. If I go slower, everything else stays the same. Even the playback modes. If I play it, it's gonna go forwards and then backwards. We can also do swing. We also have polymetry. So if we start offsetting some of these tracks, this will also affect the the notes, even if polymetry is off, right? And this is something super creative, because now you can use just a simple ARP, but get something different from the ARP. Cool. I'm gonna reset all the different tracks so we can just go back to the beginning. I'm gonna be holding this. What if I want to play a chord? This doesn't have a chord mode. We don't have it. But what you can do when you go to the different engines, you don't have it on the model, I guess, and you don't have it on the harmonic, you just have it on the sample, wavetable, and analog. You have a chord mode. So if I go to chord and select a chord, and how many voices, the ARP will just play that chord. And if I just play a triad, I'm doing it so, it's just going to use a chord for those steps, or just, notes. This is a way you get to, to use chords on your ARPs. If I go all the way down and all the way down in voices, it goes back to use just one single key on each. All right, so we are done. We just covered everything that we can do with this sequencer, and I think it's a pretty good sequencer for, of course, just a synthesizer. This is an additional thing that you get on a synth, and in my opinion, all synthesizers should have a sequencer like this. Okay, so if you like what I do, please like the video. This channel is supported by viewers only. If you want to buy me a coffee to say thanks and help the channel keep going on, you can. You have links on the description for PayPal, YouTube Thanks, and Patreon.